Hi everyone, we are on our last Advent reading today, December 20th, and we have heard the story of how God told the prophet Isaiah long before Jesus ever came that he was going to send a rescuer. And he told him how he was going to do it and why he was going to do it. And then the next week we heard about how the time was here and that God sent the angel Gabriel to Mary to say, you are going to be the mother of Jesus. And then we heard the next week about how Jesus was born. And he was born in a stable because there was no room in the inn. And in a town named Bethlehem, just like the prophet Isaiah had said. And then last week we read the fun story of about how the big choirs of angels appeared to the shepherds. They were the first ones he chose to tell the good news to, and they went to see baby Jesus. Now this week we are going to read about the Magi who went to see, that followed the star that went to see the baby Jesus. It's called the King of all Kings, and it's from Matthew 2. We sometimes, in some places they're called the Magi, sometimes they're called the wise men, sometimes they're called kings. Far away in the east, 3 clever men saw the very same star, the star that God had put in the sky when Jesus was born. They knew it was a sign a baby king had been born. They had been waiting for this star and they knew it would come. There's the picture of the star. That was the same star that Mary and Joseph saw, the same star that the shepherds saw, and the same star they see from far away. They said, he's here, they shouted, he's here. And I'm sure if you'd been there, you would have heard them laughing and dancing and singing until the sun came up. At dawn, they packed up their camels and wrapped gifts for the baby. They brought their most precious treasures of all, frankincense, gold, and myrrh, special, sparkly, lovely smelling, gleaming things, just right for a king. The 3 wise men, actually, if you'd met them, you'd have thought they were kings because they were so rich and clever and important looking. These 3 wise men set off. There they go. They rode their camels across endless deserts, up steep mountains, down into deep valleys, through raging rivers, over grassy plains, night and day and night for hours that turned into days, that turned into weeks, and turned into months and months, until at last they reached Jerusalem. Jerusalem was by far the most important city for miles around, and as anyone can tell you, that's where a palace would be, and kings are born in palaces. So that's where they went, but they were in for a surprise. They went to see King Herod. Surely he would know where the baby was. But he didn't. In fact, he didn't like the sound of a new king. It made him cross. He didn't want anyone to be king except him. But Herod's advisors told the 3 wise men what was written in their books, what God had said about the baby king. Go to Bethlehem. That's where you'll find him. Suddenly the star that they had seen in the east started moving again, showing them the way. So the 3 wise men followed the star out of the big city, around the road, into the little town of Bethlehem. They followed the star through the streets of Bethlehem, out of the nice part of town, through the not so nice part of town, into the really not so nice part of town, down a dirt road track, until it stopped right over a little house. But wait, it wasn't a palace, and there wasn't any guards or servants or flags or red carpets or trumpets or anything. Did they get it wrong? Or was this what God meant? Sure enough, in the little house, there sitting on his mother's knee, they found him, the baby king. The 3 men knelt before the little king. They took off their rich royal turbans and gleaming gold crowns, and they bowed their noble heads to the ground, and they gave him their sparkling treasures. The journey that had begun so many centuries before had led 3 wise men there, to a little town, to a little house, to a little child. to the king God had promised David all those years before. But this king was a new kind of king. Though he was the Prince of Heaven, he became poor. Though he was a mighty God, he became helpless like a baby. This king hadn't come to be the boss, he came to be a servant. Amazing. God came as a baby to serve us, to die for us, so that we could be friends with God and live with him forever. Jesus coming to earth is the best news ever. I hope you have a wonderful time celebrating. See you later.